Okay, passage 3, and immediately we see, oh no, list of headings. Matching headings, passage 3, that is always going to be very difficult. Now, do you start with the matching headings? In reading 3, I wouldn't. I would go first and see if there are other questions which can help us to become familiar with one or two of the headings first, and that can help you with matching headings later. We see we've got a short summary here and some yes, no, not givens. So it's very short and there are 4 marks there, so I would definitely start with this. Do the matching headings later, maybe even last. Right, so immediately you need to scan. What do you scan for? You need to find where this comes from. Arson for profit, that's immediately what you must scan for. And we see it over there. However, be careful. In fact, it's also over there. So we just need to be aware of that. What do you do next? I would go and find this, try and find where the summary ends. And so you need to just scan. There's no other way of doing it. Run your eyes along the lines very quickly. Maybe even just say in your head, court. And there we see it over there. So that means I can forget about this. This summary comes from this section over here. Now, usually a summary, if the summary is 1 paragraph, it will be from 1 paragraph or 1 paragraph. But this is reading 3, and they make things more difficult in reading 3. So this 1 paragraph actually comes from the first half and the second half of these 2 paragraphs. Right, that's enough for us. We know where it comes from. Now let's find some scanning words. University course, undergraduates studying something. So let's look at the grammar quickly. Go and look at my video on grammar for IELTS about these gap fills. This grammar doesn't really help us much, but we do know we are not looking for singulars because there's no or an. We're looking for nouns, first of all, studying something. They will become something, find something, successful something, adjective, noun. So we know we're looking for nouns, then are we looking for single, plural, countable, uncountable? There's no or an here. So it means these are all going to be either countable, plural, or uncountable. Doesn't help us too much, but it can help us. Right. Undergraduates who are studying something. What do you study? You study a subject, of course. Undergraduates have met, can sign up for the course in our program in Fire Science. There is a subject. Science is a subject. This is about the science of fire. So I think that's pretty straightforward. Right. Then it gets a bit more difficult. Let's just take a look. The expectations that they will become something in specializing in arson. This is one big noun phrase. It's actually reduced here. It should be something who specialize in arson. So this is a kind of a person or a job. The course will help them. Remember them and they. This is all talking about the undergraduates. To detect cases of arson and find something of criminal intent, leading to successful in the courts. Let's go and look at courts. Remember with these summaries, you can jump around. I would like to go and look at courts first because I saw where it was. Let's find successful. Here's courts. There's in. In was in the summary. In a court, in the courts. There is successful. So quite clearly, uncountable noun, prosecution. Not too difficult, that one. Right, so they will become, these undergraduates will become something, specializing in arson. The course is intended for arson investigators. Prospective means in the future they will become arson investigators. And they learn the tricks of the trade. Detecting a fire was set. Here is detecting, so that section is all of this. So our answer really is just somewhere in this sentence over here. We're looking for a countable plural noun or an uncountable noun, and that's the only one there. So you can really, just with a little bit of grammar, you can just see none of these words will fit. This part is for the next question, so that must be the answer. They will become investigators. Right, then this probably gets a bit more tricky. The course will help them to detect cases of arson and find something of criminal intent. Remember, detect and find mean the same thing. And we're looking for countable plural or uncountable. Tricks of the trade, uncountable, fine. Detecting whether a fire was set, there's our detecting. Discovering, same meaning as detecting and finding, all synonyms. This is a singular noun, so we're not looking for that. Establishing, a chain of evidence for effective prosecution. So actually in this whole section over here, there are only 2 uncountable nouns and 1 countable noun. Tricks and trade, but that's a whole phrase that goes together. And then there's only one more option. This is single noun. Where is the remaining uncountable or plural noun? And that's it over there. So even if you don't know what that is, maybe you can just guess that it's plural, that it's uncountable. There's no in front of it. So the grammar tells you that's the only option. But let's look at the meaning too. Can you find evidence of crime? Yes, you can. So it's quite simple, I think, that one should be evidence. It's a pretty simple summary because 4 marks in just a few sentences. They didn't really go back. They all followed everything in order. You knew you were looking for nouns, plural or uncountable nouns, and there aren't many options there. So I think you can quite quickly get 4 out of 4 there. Right, what should you do next? I would probably go on to do this because I know the matching headings is going to be very difficult. I want to get as much exposure and experience with the text before I go to matching headings. So let's do this next. Okay, I'm very enthusiastic about this yes, no, not given because there are some important things that I want to show you. If you haven't watched my video on true, false, not given, please go and watch it so that you know what I'm talking about. Right, so we're going to take a look at these. It's not a bad idea to go and scan for these first and find where they are first. But a better strategy is very often to find the target language first. That will give you a better idea of what the scanning language is. So take a moment to look at these 4 questions and put a circle around the target language, the language that you think IELTS is testing on yes, no, not given. Pause the video, take a look. Okay, so these are the words that I think IELTS is going to test. This is what I think the target language is. If you look at these, they aren't the types of words that IELTS usually targets in true, false, yes, no, not given, such as increase, decrease, many, most, that sort of thing, up, down, whatever. But what's interesting about this one is that they are all adjectives. So this yes, no, not given, IELTS is testing your use of adjectives. It doesn't happen very often. I have seen it before where the whole true, false or the whole yes, no, not given is just about adjectives. It's not common, but it can happen. The next thing is that if you identify this correctly, you then can identify what your scanning language is. You're going to look for these things. You're not going to be searching for these things because you might not find them. It might be false, it might be not given. But you're going to look for the other things around the target language. That is your scanning language. So let me quickly highlight the scanning language. All of these nouns and noun phrases is what you will scan for. I'm going to start here. Why? Because I know IELTS loves to do not given at the first question. They love to do it because they know you're going to waste a lot of time searching for something that is not there. IELTS is mean. Secondly, and the main reason is, of course, because I know where this is. So let's go straight there. Remember, we saw it there as well. So we need to keep that in our mind, and we saw it there. So what else are we looking for? Do not focus on a career. We're looking for career. There's career over there. Great. So that tells me we're probably up at the top. People intending to set fire to buildings. This is people who want to set fire to buildings. Very difficult paraphrase. I'm looking for buildings. I see it over there. Great. So we're somewhere around here. Fire science courses help people to be good at the job of firefighting. The job of firefighting. There is firefighting. There is fire science. So it's getting a little bit confusing what comes first. But what is this? Very important. This is the fire science course. So that's also possibly the reference to fire science. Finally, his students and the purpose of their studies. This is where IELTS gets mean again. I see students everywhere. Students is in this paragraph here, but students is also there, and students is also there. So, I need to find this one. Now, don't waste too much time finding it. It's actually a difficult one to find because it's far away from these. This is another trap that IELTS has laid for you, that they know you're going to scan, waste 2, 3, 4 minutes scanning for this. If you can't find it, leave it. Come back to it later. But I will tell you where it is, and that's it over there. So as you can see, IELTS has been mean. They've taken 3 of them from here, skip a paragraph, skip the paragraph, and then taken the 4th one from there. Not very nice, but they will do it. Remember, this is reading 3. Great, so let's get started with this. It's difficult to attract students onto courses that do not focus on a career. Is it difficult or is it easy? A student can prepare for all of these, but anything about difficult or easy? Anything about attract? No. So they've done it again. They've done not given for the first one, just to make you waste some time. This course would be useful for people intending to set fire to buildings. The problem, okay, let's look at buildings. Buildings is over there, but that's where firefighter is. And I think firefighter is going to be somewhere there. So we need to go before that. So I want actually the reference to this course. And this is very difficult because you need to know what that is. An arsonist is a person who intends to set fire to a building. That's why this is so difficult. Maybe you got a bit lost there. It's fine. We can skip it if you want. Let's look at firefighter. Let's skip that one because we're a bit lost. Fire science courses, too academic to help people be good at firefighting. So that's firefighters. Remember this word too academic. Too means something negative. I ate too much, so I feel sick. Too is not good. So this is a negative kind of adjective. I saw the word academic actually there. My point is not to criticize academic programs. He does not want to criticize them. He does not want to say they are bad. If he says they are too academic, that's bad. They are highly welcome. So he's actually comparing too academic with welcome. Too academic is negative. Welcome is positive. So that's not what he is saying here. So that one must be no. So they focused on this adjective. Right, so now we know where this one is. We can go back to this one. Useful for people intending to set fire to buildings. The arson profit course would be useful. So we've done this sentence because that's where academic was. So we want to look at this sentence. He's saying this would be the perfect course for arsonists to sign up for. He says it as a question, but he means that it is. So we're comparing that adjective there. Is it the perfect course? He says it's the perfect course. The question says it's very useful. Perfect, useful. They're both positive, so it's the same. So that is yes. Great. Now, if you didn't find this one, I wouldn't waste too much time on it. I would go on to the matching headings. Maybe come back to it later when you've done the matching headings. But let's just do it quickly. Did they provide a detailed? The definition was it detailed or not? When they ask to, there's fire science students, when he asks them what the purpose of their field is, they give something general. General versus detailed. They are opposite. Generalized, detailed, opposites. So that must be no. Okay, it wasn't easy, true, false, not given. The main thing I want you to do is that he focused in on the adjectives, and that left this all as scanning language for you to help to try and find it. Great. Let's tackle these matching headings. Okay, let's look at the matching headings. Reading 3 matching headings, not going to be easy. Now, the first thing you should do is, we have worked with this and we have worked with these. That means we have worked with these 2 paragraphs. So you should do these 2 paragraphs first because we are kind of familiar with them. You can do these others later. I'm not saying do them because they are first because they are A and B. I'm saying do them first because we've worked with them before. Another thing is, if you get a summary, look at the information in the summary. That is IELTS telling you what is important information that they've taken from the paragraph. And often that will help you to find the topic of the paragraph. So for example, this course, this Arson for Profit course, it's a big piece of information in the first paragraph and it's very important. Right, let's look at the first paragraph. One thing I quickly want to say is the traditional approach that you see all over YouTube and in all textbooks is they say, for matching headings, they say, look at the first sentence, there's your answer. It's not true. Less than 50% of the time, the first sentence gives you the answer. The main thing that I want you to notice in this paragraph is this word over here. But or however. I have made a small list of things to look out for. Let me just show you quickly. We will go through these in good time. I just want you to look at this first one. It's a very, very common thing that happens in IELTS reading, in all reading, is that after these words, they are called contrast markers, but, yet, however, although, while. Then the important information comes. For example, if I say, I like apples, but I prefer peaches, the peaches is the important information there. It's more important than the apples. The apples is the supporting information. So just remember for now, important information after but or after however. So all he does all the way up here is prepare you for this big statement over here, and actually carries it on a little bit. This is all about this course with this name. And there he says, I kid you not, I'm not joking, I'm serious. So if we go to our headings, we're looking for something about that course, because that's what the paragraph is about. It's about that course. As we saw over here, this course is the key information. Courses that require high level of commitment. Okay, we see the word courses, but I don't see high level of commitment anywhere. Course title with 2 meanings, I didn't see that. 2 key issues, no. Theory, unexpected context, no. Financial benefits, no. Course title again, and no and no. And there it is over there. After the but, a course called Arson for Profit. The but gave us the clue, and also we got some extra information from that. Surprising, where do we see the word surprising? It's not really there, it's kind of hidden in this. He's saying, don't be surprised, I'm not joking, I'm serious. So it's not too difficult to see they were talking about the course, and section A was then number 6. Right, paragraph B, they have another but. And that introduces important information. We know, we've seen that this is important already because one of the yes, no, not givens was focused on this word over here. It was 38. So that shows after the but important information. They're actually using that again. Prospective arsonists is people who want to start fires. They support it even more with this. There is another contrast marker, however, and they just talk about dishonest and illegal behavior. So this paragraph is, first of all, who the course is intended for, but it can attract the wrong type of person. It can attract prospective arsonists, and it can attract people who have dishonest and illegal behavior. The 2 contrast markers again showed us what was important. Right, High level of commitment, no. Two meanings, no. Well, let me just delete that one first. Two key issues, no. Theory and context, no. Financial benefits, no. Different names, no. Possibility of attracting the wrong kind of student. That's people who want to start fires, prospective arsonists, or dishonest and illegal people. So that's not too bad. We could get that one as well. B is 8. Okay, but what do you do now? I would often suggest to my students, look at this one, just because it's really short. And the shorter ones are often easier. But if you read it and you go and look at the headings, you won't see much. It's the heading is actually really difficult for this one. I looked at it and I had to think for a long time. So I left it until last. It's not a bad strategy to try the short ones first, but IELTS knows that you're doing that, so they will often make it more difficult. Right. There's no other way. You've got to kind of read the paragraph, but you need to know what to look for. There's another but over there. That might help us. There are many ways I could have approached the assignment, but I took my cue. That's like I took my inspiration from the title of the course. It made me think to ask the students, is marketing principled? A subject can have principles in the sense of being codified without being principled in the sense of being ethical. So this was actually a very difficult one. The fact that he contrasts that with that is actually quite important here. So if we look at it, high level of commitment, no. Two meanings, maybe. There's two things, two key issues, maybe. Theory, no. Financial benefits, forgot to delete that. Different names for different outcomes. Again, I don't see anything. Right, now in paragraph E, there is some important language that I want you to see. Okay, there's a but. But you don't really know what it means. This means an end. By this he means how you do something, and this is the result that you do something. But for what result? That's what this means. I want you to notice this language though. On my list, I mentioned this kind of thing. When IELTS uses this kind of language, it is important information. IELTS loves to ask questions about it. When there are 2 of these, or 3 of those, or 4 of the other things. It's a small list, and IELTS always asks questions about those lists. So you should underline that if you see the 2 main attitudes, and then go and find those 2 attitudes. One is that, and the other attitude is that. So there are 2 main attitudes, and that takes us all the way up to there. And then he starts talking about what he thinks. And that's actually the core of this paragraph. How can you know this? Just focus in on that language. If you saw that language, and you will see it often in IELTS, underline it. Can we see anything? No. Course title, there's 2 there, maybe. Equal importance of 2 key issues, maybe. Theory, no. Financial benefits, no. Different names for different outcomes. So it was actually, I would actually go for this. Remember, at this stage, you're in the end of the test. At the end of the test, reading 3, don't be afraid to guess. Equal importance of 2 key issues. And that comes from 2 main attitudes, that language over there. Really difficult. So at this stage, I would feel sort of confident with just choosing that. If this is your first time doing matching headings, don't start with reading 3 matching headings. You will see when I do a reading 1 matching headings, it is a lot easier than this. This is about as difficult as IELTS can get. Right, then finally, read through it a bit, see if there's any language that you notice. Definitely there's another but there, but I want you to definitely notice he is telling you what's important. He's put this into italics. He's put this into italics. There, he's put a lot of stuff into italics. So let's see what he's saying. Someone could use the same knowledge for doing reckless activity, but we would not call that firefighting. That would be arson. If you employed the principles of marketing in an unprincipled way, you would not be doing marketing. We have another term for it that would be called fraud. So he's repeating certain language over here. To call. We have a word is to call. Again, we have another word for it. And this is a very important thing, is in matching headings, if you see repetition of some kind of idea or some kind of concept, that often gives you the topic of the paragraph. I'm actually going to add it to this list. When you see that they're repeating something, it won't be the same word, it will be paraphrased, or it will just be an idea. That's often the topic of the paragraph. So they're repeating this, what you name something, what you call something. Here is another example. A doctor and a person who poisoned somebody. One is called a doctor practicing medicine, the one is practicing murder. This is all about what you call things. Can you see anything about that? Two meanings maybe, but this is the real answer. The name, what you call it. Let's see how many words we can see that are related to that. Call, name, we have a word, we name it. We have a term, we name it. We would say, we call it. So it's just two different words for different outcomes. And look, I know it's difficult, but that's the closest one we can find. So F is 7. Right, then these last two. This one again, because there were two things over there, I'm probably just going to go for a course title with two meanings. Does he talk about a course title? Yes, he's talking about the title over there. And then he gives two different meanings. Could it be this meaning or could it be that meaning? The repetition helped you a little bit there. Extremely difficult though. Once you get to these last matching headings in reading 3, you're really dealing with band 8, band 9 questions. You shouldn't waste too much time on them. Then the last one, I'm just going to explain it to you. It comes from this sentence. He's talking about this philosopher, that's like an academic person who argued about a body of knowledge. Can you see anything close to that? Nothing about commitment, nothing about financial benefits. Applying a theory is the correct one. He's using the theory from that philosopher to his work. It's quite unexpected that he's doing that. Very obscure, very difficult heading, that one. And so there you go. Look, don't get discouraged by that. I know how difficult that was. If you can get out of that with 2 out of 6, that's great. Maybe you'll get lucky and get 3. I think if you want to take something away from this lesson about matching headings, take this away. Important information after the contrast markers, especially but and however. It happened 3 times there. The second thing to take away, please, is when you see 2 of, or 3 or 4 of something, find those 2 things. That will be important information. All right. Thank you.